every winter, deadly shack fires break out in informal settlements in South Africa, leaving many families homeless and in some instances heartbroken. The fires are often started by open flames, unsafe heaters, or illegal electricity connections. Safer heating options, stronger housing and community fire safety awareness, as well as quicker emergency responses are cited as some of the possible interventions to prevent these tragedies. Let's speak more about this with fire specialist Donnathin De Beer, who joins us now via our video link. Donnathin, it's lovely to see you. Thanks very much indeed for making time to speak to the SABC. This is sadly an all too common story, especially around this time of the year. Given your own experience, are you finding though that we are becoming better at being able to, at the very least, predict what causes these fires?
Morning, Ayana. Yes, thanks for having me. Well, if we look back in just the last month, there was a fire in Khayelitsha that actually destroyed 300 houses in a question of a couple of minutes. Identifying the different options for community safety is basically to have certain sectors in your community for the informal settlement with special firefighting techniques and training, and that will involve having your community part of attacking and preventing any fires, and that goes hand in hand with educating of these informal settlements to help them look at different aspects of risks that's involved in this. Like you mentioned, it's open fires, it's your heaters, illegal electrical connections.
How much are you finding this has to do with the socioeconomic divide in this country? And it might be a bit of an obvious question, but as I said, the script is almost the same every single year. It's usually an informal settlement, paraffin heaters, illegal connections, all of which affect a certain demographic of the country. It seems from where I'm sitting, it's very difficult to get around to solving this issue without addressing that problem.
Yes, definitely. If I can give you an idea, if you take your local fire department, number one, you need to get them to that specific area quite quickly. And with the informal settlements, it's very unplanned settlements. So your road accesses to the different houses is limited. So if you send in a fire truck that's quite a big truck into that area, it actually destroys more property than actually accessing to the fire to help the guys set out the fire in their houses.
Wow, that's quite something. Often, when these conversations come up, there's, these calls for greater public education and awareness. But in your, again, experience, is that where the problem lies? And are you finding that communities that are, confronted with these type of tragedies don't know the dangers of these fires?
Yeah, it's definitely so. So if you basically, let's take a normal household. Everybody goes to bed a normal time at evening. The parents have to get up early in the morning. And just imagine yourself 2 o'clock in the morning, there's sudden smoke in the entire house, screaming, shouting, and within minutes you lose basically everything in your house. Yeah. Your ID, your kids' birth certificates, clothing, bedding, your entire house is gone. You left with nothing. And these poor families, where do they turn to? Number one, needs to be actually resolved. And number two is how to get the community involved to actually look at fire safety.
Sure. I'll be honest, Donnathin. I think I've never really considered to myself what would I do if I were to find myself in a structure that's going up in flames. And perhaps it's an opportunity this to kind of speak about that. In many instances, people are often afraid of the flames themselves, and there's a place for that. But we know smoke inhalation is also part of the big reason why a lot of these end in dire tragedies. Speak to us about some of the quick tips. What do you do if you're in a room that you can't escape that's on fire?
Okay, so if we take a normal gas cylinder, you can't actually put it out with a fire extinguisher. You actually need to cover it with a wet cloth to actually get the flames they will be concealed within this wet cloth, and that will basically stop the fire in that aspect. If you look at oil burning on a pot, you basically need to slide the cover up. You can't go and place the cover on top of it because you will actually burn your hands and your arms. So you need to actually place the pot lid flat on top of the pot to actually execute that fire. If we take a candle that fell over on bedding, that's a difficult situation. Number one, you're going to have to use a very fine sand which you can cover over that burning blanket or remove the burning blanket without setting anything else alight in the house. Your last result, but that might also be an issue, is running water. We can basically have a hose pipe with running water to actually attack the fire. But again, you would need a bit of education to actually attack this fire.
And this will obviously raise concerns about safer alternatives. Are we getting better insofar as developing those, Donnathin? What are the options out there?
So basically, what I'll suggest is the local community needs to identify a certain group of individuals. So most of the companies out there, they do offer basic firefighting training for the employees. So you might have some of your locals with that specific certificate. And if you can get a couple of companies to invest in fire extinguishers to mobilize to that different areas, and you can create this team, and they can attack the fire just by means of a notification. There's another option, and it is quite a cheap option that we see nowadays, is a small fire detector that you can actually place in your house that works on a battery. And this battery has a lifespan of about 10 to 15 years, depending on which model you take. And that'll work as a pre-alarm. So if there's any smoke or anything build up into the house, it will basically then alarm, and you'll be awakened by that instead of flames and smoke and your kids running around screaming.
And how affordable is something like that, Donnathin?
They're not very expensive. They're about 250 to 270 Rand.
All right, fair enough. Hopefully what we've seen so far is not a sign of the season, winter season ahead. Thanks very much indeed for that advice and some of those insights. Donnathin De Beer is a safety specialist helping us speak about ways to prevent any winter fires this season.